Welcome to Odd Musings with, what's the name?
Scott and Brent.
You heard him.
All right.
I'm D. Snyder.
Welcome to Odd Musings, episode 187. Brand new episode, brand new year. Welcome to Happy New Year 2021.
That's right. Can you believe it? New year.
Yes.
Crazy. And who knows what's going to happen today? Election. It's Electoral College Day. So
it's also, they've got one for sure in Georgia confirmed, or they're calling, I guess. They're waiting on the other Senate. So...
yeah, which magically had all the same issues of the November election.
Right.
So magic votes disappearing live on the air while people watch, but nothing to see here, folks.
No.
What's amazing is the change always occurs in only one direction.
Correct. Yep. Had to figure that out. Yep.
All right.
So,
but we are here. We're here for fun. That's what we're here for.
Yep.
Got an exciting show. We're going to talk about the 2021 movie release schedule and some recent shows we've been watching.
Yeah, so we got a lot of cool stuff to cover on that. Didn't do a new intro this week. I was going to do a new video intro, just didn't have a chance to work one up yet. And I have fun doing those like I have the last few weeks and that. So, but we'll see that. I want to work on a couple new ones just because I think it's fun and changes up our little opening and closing, so it's not so boring every time. So
that's right. No, it is fun though, for sure.
Yeah, and all that. But let's get some business out of the way first. And
business.
And I'm gonna start off with Loringer Family Chiropractic, where your journey to wellness begins here with Loringer Family Chiropractic Center PC. And they do take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient, offering on-site digital X-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levels, young limb essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. You can give them a call 734-697-4244. Visit them online at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com. You can find them there on Facebook, which is what you're looking at right now, I believe. I got two new windows open.
Yep, I see them.
Yep. I opened up a double window. I will click the wrong one there. But yep, there they are right there. And that's Dr. Anna, Dr. Brian. We talked to Dr. Anna a lot lately. They were looking at I got a new smoker grill. I think I mentioned the other week and love it. Did a great job on Christmas Day when I did my brisket and that. They're looking at the exact same thing. So I was talking with them a little bit about that yesterday. So that's because once you get to know them, you kind of become like family and they talk to you about everything just about. So it's kind of cool on that. But then we also have another great sponsor in
Team Titans of Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Relationships are always our number one priority with every deal we do. And we have this awesome new house. Just went live yesterday here. Here you see it listed there. Let's see if I got, I think I have a link here. Let's see. I should open up the actual web page, the property listing page I'll do. So, which means I got to share it another screen.
Actually or you can copy the link in that. So
yeah, it's still looking at my Facebook page. It opened it. So I got to now go, I think here. Where'd it go? Right here. There we go. I think it's up. There we go. So Schilling Drive, that's our newest listing. It just went live yesterday, and we had 11 showings yesterday.
Wow.
We have like 4 or 5 already lined up today. We have some lined up for tomorrow and some for Saturday already. This is just showing you, I've been talking about this supply and demand issue. The supply is so low right now that when we go on the market, we are getting a flood of people interested. In fact, I may even have to step away briefly. I think I'm good for the hour though. We're in the middle of negotiations. We got some offers in on this already, and we'll see where things go. But I'm doing my real estating fun stuff. For me, I love the negotiations phase. That's what I enjoy a lot, and reaching out to all the agents and talking to them and seeing what I can negotiate for my client to maximize what you're doing, what you're getting. And that's why, we're not just an expense. Sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to spend X amount on a realtor, but when you get a good realtor, it's not an expense, it's an investment, because we really do work to maximize your bottom line. So give us a call. 586-549-6096 is my number, or Joe Webler, 586-277-2145.
Fantastic.
Yes. Good
Awesome.
times.
So how was your New Year's there, Scott? Did you have a good New Year's Eve?
Oh, we did. It was kind of low key, just, watch the ball drop. I was horrified, but I'm just getting old. I thought almost every music act absolutely sucked. The whole night sucked as far as the television coverage. It was so bad. And I was so heartbroken. I have been a lifelong fan of Cyndi Lauper. I have no idea what she did up there. It was awful. It was awful. Her and what's his name was with her, and she just was bad. So I am chalking her voice up to the rest in peace list for 2020. It was bad. And then she did a new song or something that she sounded like a drunk at a karaoke bar that stole the microphone and they couldn't get off stage.
Yeah. You know what? There's some that, and she's not, young. I want to say she's really, really old, but it's just some of the age, their voice changed. And her voice over the years, I've noticed, has gotten more and more of her Brooklyn-esque accent or New York accent versus what she had back in the 80s. And it sounds more raspy or just a normal talk. And I'm wondering how much that's affecting her actual singing voice. Because I love her songs, especially back Time After Time. So one of my favorite songs of all time. And,
but I noticed too, like, what's his name? Billy something. Porter. Billy Porter.
From Broadway.
Yeah, which he sucked. I don't understand. Whatever.
There's a difference between doing a Broadway performance and then doing a singing like a rock song or singing like that. I've noticed that I
did not think his voice was that good for her singing with her, and I noticed he was doing like the powerful parts of the song, the higher parts. So I'm wondering if her voice doesn't handle the range anymore. So she kept to more of the mid-range stuff, I think, but I don't know.
Probably part of it, but I've noticed when they bring in a lot of Broadway singers who think they can sing, and they can sing on Broadway, and they sound just fine in those type of contexts. When they come in and try to do rock songs or original tunes or things like that, they don't do as well, and they're not as good. And I think it's just
I wonder why.
I think it's a performance issue. I really think it's more of how they perform, especially if they've done a lot of theater. Because doing a lot of theater music is way different than doing rock songs and things like that.
Right.
And some people can handle both and translate it back and forth. But I've noticed even Idina Menzel, I think she's got a great voice, but for the most part, when she does her regular stuff outside of her Broadway stuff, I don't enjoy it as much. I don't feel it works. And maybe that they're trying to get out of their normal sounding the way they do, and it just doesn't fit, and what they do on that. And that's just part of their style and everything else, because they're so ingrained into Broadway in that. So
So anyways, I was watching it, just shaking my head the whole night, going, "What the heck what is this? What is this? What?"
Yeah. And it's like Kevin says, He's a huge Cyndi fan, and I definitely, I've enjoyed her regular performances and things like that.
I like whenever I hear her on the radio, I got to turn it up. I love her music. I've always enjoyed her as a person too. And but I don't know. I was sad.
I watched none of that stuff. I put on a couple movies and I fell asleep at one point. Woke up, it was like 11:45, and I watched the ball drop and went back to sleep. And so it was very low key. Got up the next day and binge watched, and I'll talk a little bit about it in a little while here. Is the Cobra Kai season 3. And, and I actually didn't realize how much I went through. I kind of woke up, laying in bed, watching. And next thing I know, 2 hours goes by, 3 hours goes by. Have a little breakfast, come back, like, I'll watch another episode or two, and next thing you know, I finished the season. But they're half-hour episodes, so they go pretty fast. If they were hour long, I would not have got through it as fast. And then our New Year's Day was kind of low-key. Watched a little bit of football, and we did a big seafood dinner with some shrimp and crab stuffed mushrooms, what I made, and then some lobster tails. So it was all really good. So I took the day off, and I could have worked actually because there was orders that day, but I took the day off and then worked through the weekend. So, but
very good.
Yeah. So it was a pretty good low key. I mean, it's like some people when I was working on New Year's Eve, they were like, "Oh, you work?" I was like, "Yeah, what's there to do? There's nothing going on." Nobody's having any parties, nobody's having any getting-togethers that I know of, anyways. And
although we snuck out of the house and got to Dave and Buster's. That was fun. It's like, wow, I'm doing something outside of the house. What is this?
I didn't even know they were open.
Yeah, they are open. They have a limit on how many people can go in, though I didn't see anybody counting.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It made you feel a little bit like it was old times. Yeah, of course they have the stupid mask policy they force you to do, but well.
We got Isaac chiming in from, looks like YouTube here. Do you watch Cobra Kai? I watched it. I know Scott has not, so I'm gonna.
I want to. It's on my to watch list. A certain somebody else who I watch TV with has decided that they don't want to watch it, so I'm gonna have to watch it solo.
What? What is wrong with her?
I know.
She's gonna love it. I'm telling you, this show has such a great nostalgia for the '80s.
I know.
Being now, and
she's acting like she has high class taste in this stuff, but her favorite movies are things like Step Brothers and Nacho Libre. Come on.
I am Nacho.
She can quote anything Seinfeld, Nacho Libre.
I'll tell you what. Anybody I know that I've seen posts online that I wasn't really interested, didn't care. I would say I've only seen one person who didn't like it, and most people watching they really like it. A little bit of the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
But the story is good. And then the funny thing is, if you were a fan of How I Met Your Mother, that really is where the basis. And I think I talked about this last year.
Yeah, you did.
And that for what they've done is they really shown that Johnny Lawrence was not the true bad guy. That actually there was a duality there.
Right.
And
I think it's interesting because there is something to this about getting older. It's like The Office. Mm-hmm. Do you watch it?
Never liked it. Never could get into it. I tried. I watched a few.
Yeah. But when you watch it in your younger years, you have Jim and Dwight. And Dwight seems like the jerk and the bad guy. And Jim is like the good guy hero. But as you get older and you watch it, you start realizing Jim is actually the jerk. And Dwight is the guy you would actually want to hire to work for you. He's loyal to the company, dedicated, and works hard. Jim, by his own admission in one of the episodes, he only works one day a year because he has this one large account that he makes all of his commission on for the year. So, so yeah, it's as you get older, your point of view changes. Mm-hmm. Or even like the Death Star and the Rebels, how many innocent people died on the Death Star? So, that's well, perspective changes. So now when I watch The Office, I'm like, that Jim is really a jerk.
Well, and it's like that with a lot of movies from the past, and so when you go back and rewatch them, sometimes they take a whole different tone because of our own life experiences, especially things like that. So, it's. I think one of the things is that Cobra Kai. I hadn't watched it when it was on YouTube, and I heard people talking about it, but I'm glad it made the leap to Netflix because I wasn't going to sign up for another service. As you and I have talked about many times on the show, there's just way too much out there to have to pay for everything. I'll take some free ones, but I'm not going to pay for everything. So,
right. So let's jump into Cobra Kai. I'll talk about The Crown, which we finished, but for Cobra Kai, first question is this.
Yes.
Season 1 and 2 was on YouTube. As far as when it was released, now it's a Netflix production. Did you notice a difference between season 3 versus the other 2 seasons now that Netflix is in control?
Well, there is a difference, but my understanding is season 3, for the most part, was being filmed and done prior to the Netflix taking it over.
Okay, so YouTube still had.
They may have come in and done some changes and tweaks and stuff. Personally, I did see a comment. I'm not going to mention the person. It's a mutual friend. They didn't like it. They felt Netflix kind of Netflixed it up or something like that. I didn't feel that way. What was it was the entire season. Actually, when it ended, I kind of thought it would go to a different route, and I was like, oh, we're gonna have like this next little thing at the end, and they didn't. The season ended, but then I'm like, okay, they're setting up for this next. I figured out what they were doing right away in that last couple episodes. So we're gonna spend a whole season. They've basically been following the movies. So you start with the first Karate Kid movie. And so the season 1 into season 2 really covers all of the first movie in terms of what happened from there to now, even though we know other things happened between Karate Kid 2 and 3. Season 3 addresses Karate Kid 2, where Daniel is over in Okinawa. They actually do go back to Okinawa. That's all over everywhere, so it's not really a spoiler anymore. We got to see what happened to Chosen and Kumiko, who was his girlfriend over there for the minute, and things like that. So we learn about what happened to these characters after the movie, because when Karate Kid 3 came out, there was no more mention of them.
So is it a possibility, and maybe it's already happened, will they bring in Hilary Swank and or Jaden Smith? Because they were part of the Karate Kid movies.
Okay, Jaden Smith is technically not, because Jaden Smith was in a different alternate universe, because his teacher was Jackie Chan over in China.
So that was really a reboot? That
was a reboot.
Okay. So
a remake. It was actually
Jaden Smith.
Yeah, it was more of a remake and not a full reboot, because a reboot could be continuing on. So all it was a crappy movie that Jackie Chan should not have had a part of.
Or maybe they will find Miyagi's ashes and open a time portal through multiversing. It'll be the Karate Kid into the multiverse, and we'll get all the Karate Kids.
Yeah. Now we won't get the Jaden Smith one. Well, that one will never be a part of it.
The bad guy.
As far as Hilary Swank, that was the next Karate Kid, which would be technically Karate Kid 4.
Was Miyagi in that one?
Yes, it dealt with Miyagi. He was there. Daniel-san wasn't around anymore. He did that. They did that trying to. I think that was that would be called more of a reboot, because it dealt with the existing universe they were in with the same characters. The only thing carried on was Miyagi. And I think Daniel-san was mentioned but not seen in that. So
Hilary Swank could theoretically make
but nobody cares. So back to what I was saying.
Hillary cares, I'm sure.
No, she don't. So what I was saying though is, we've got now in this second season is basically covers around Karate Kid Part 2, and they set some things up throughout the whole season to go right into Karate Kid 3.
Okay.
And we've learned, what I liked about this last season is we learn more about his background, where he came from, his time during Vietnam, things like that, and where I think a lot of his attitude comes from. So they've explained that a little bit, and it also ties into the Karate Kid 3 movie when he called up his former war buddy, who we saw in this as a younger version, with a younger Kreese in that. Neat thing I read online though was there was a scene with a jock bully, and the guy that played him was actually Martin Cove's son, who plays John Kreese. So his son got to act with him in this series as well. So then I see you brought that up. I brought the same thing. I just share it there. So yeah, I'll tell you what, I recommend it. The series, it's like half-hour episodes. It deals a lot with when you're looking at the three main principals here with Johnny Lawrence, Daniel LaRussa, and John Kreese. But a majority of it is dealing with the kids and what the journeys they go through, where they come from. What I like about Johnny Lawrence in terms of the character himself is he's the same guy. He never really left the 80s. So the terms he uses and things like that with everybody is still very 80s. He never, he even admits in one of the scenes this season, he spent his 20s partying, and, he ended up having a kid, and, things didn't work out, but he admits it's his fault. Basically, a lot of stuff that's happened was a lot of his fault. He tried to always blame him losing to LaRusso, and LaRusso having this charmed life and him not. And then we've learned throughout this whole series where Johnny Lawrence came from. He grew up a rich kid, but he really wasn't. He was a stepson to a rich guy who, basically, he kept coming back to and getting money and everything else as he got older. And
right.
And it's played by Ed Asner, he's really good in it too. So, but
I think we should bring in Ross Geller, because he and his unagi and karate. I'd like to see him take on Johnny.
Yeah, right. Ross Geller's a pussy. That's a direct quote from Johnny Lawrence. So, I tell you what, I recommend the series a lot. I'm trying not to give too much away because I want people to see it. I recommend really, just enjoying it as what it is. Being a half hour, it's not sitcom-esque thing. There is some humor and stuff like that. But it definitely, you're dealing with characters, and seeing where they've ended up. And I felt that they actually treated it with respect. They true to the characters. As much as everybody looks like, it starts off there, it looks like, this person's perfect, that one's not. As they've gone on, you realize that there's a lot of flaws within everybody, and they're dealing with those issues and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend it. Season 3, I thought was great. And when it ended, I was like, okay, I know, they've already renewed it for season 4 through Netflix. And I think that might've changed a little bit what they did towards the last few episodes. And it sounds like from the people that are doing it, the way this show has been a hit, it's going to get a renewal for season 5 pretty soon, but I think in the next month for season 4, and we could see it probably by the end of the year, beginning of next year again. And I recommend it. It's something that, I when I first heard about, I was like, okay, here's, some guys are just trying to capture something they had in the past. They got nothing else going on, but realistically, it's done very well, and it's a good series, and the writing is fantastic.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, I saw, I think, the first 2 episodes of season 1. I absolutely love it. And I totally identify with Johnny. He definitely has great taste in music.
That's actually where I'd be honest with you, that's where I identified more too. Wasn't, when you really get to know who Johnny Lawrence was and is, he was kind of the tough guy bully. I was never the popular guy in school or anything like that. Yeah. But, as he's gone on, the outlook on life, there's a lot of things that's like, and it may be the age thing. We're all in that same age range, and maybe like, don't really get some of these kids nowadays. And, and he's trying to tell them, say, hey, you could either just take it, or you could, be stronger and stand up for yourself. And actually that's what he's doing. I see a lot of giving hope to these kids, and they even deal with a little bit of the outcry in this last season of the public going, oh, it's karate, and these people are, being mean or whatever, and bullies. And realistically he's trying to show that, no, this is what actually saved me. This made me a better person. And while there are people within it that aren't good people, for the most part, it is a good thing.
Right. Very good. Yeah. So on your what's it called? The Jeff Bloom meter or whatever it is, 10 gold blooms. How many gold blooms would you give Karate Kid?
Out of 10, I give it a solid 8.5 to 9. Okay. I don't want to say a 10 because that's perfect, but it's got a couple of little flaws here and there in certain things, but nothing major that would take away from watching and enjoying the series. I've been through it once already. I'm sure it's one of those series that time goes on, I'm going to want to revisit again.
And I hear it has far more relevance to the 80s, even though it's not in the 80s, but the flashbacks and the reminiscing is far more better suited to the 80s than the Wonder Woman 1984 movie.
Yeah. Well, the problem with the Wonder Woman 84, they may have said it in 84, but the only thing they really did was, okay, here's the way it looks, and nobody has cell phones. Realistically,
and the one song that they always play for the 80s.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman 84 was just a flaw all the way around, and it's a shame.
Very good.
But I did watch another series, movie last night. I was going to talk about real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to give a full review so people have a chance to see it. It just came out on Blu-ray. It's been out on streaming to buy for a while. I've been wanting to see this, but Love and Monsters. I picked it up yesterday, and I actually enjoyed this. Now, this is not going to be a deep movie. You're not going to get into this thing like this is like the greatest thing ever. I thought they did very well with the CGI in terms of creating the creatures, explaining the world. And it's a journey adventure, and it was just fun. And it's got Michael Rooker in it. And it deals with issues of an apocalypse where something crashed, like in a meteor or something like that, and created all kinds of giant monsters out of the bugs.
So where did you see this?
I bought it on Blu-ray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Dylan O'Brien's in it. Okay.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
He's a great actor.
Yeah, there's this little girl in it. Let me see if I find her. Remember what her name was? Minnow, Ariana Greenblatt, and I don't know how old she is, but she was hilarious. She was great. Bring her up here. So she is 13, so she's probably like 11 when they filmed it, and that. But she was hilarious. I liked her character a lot. And it was yeah, it's in Redbox now because it just came out yesterday. I've been seeing it for the longest time on the streaming, and I was like, oh, should I just buy the $12.99 for digital and own it, or just wait? And I saw it was coming out on Blu-ray, so I'll just buy it. I was gonna go see it in the theater, so I justify the purchase with the fact that I would have spent that same money going to the theater to see it, and I'm glad I did. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot of fun. I'll definitely be watching it again, and I highly, highly recommend that. You at least check it out. It's just a fun popcorn movie. Don't get too much into, thematics and things like that, but it was definitely a lot of fun.
Very good.
So it reminded me a little bit, but better written than, if you remember the movie Warm Bodies about zombies.
Yep.
It had a feel to that in some ways. But it definitely a different story in that. But it was just I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and I liked the way they kind of fleshed out the main character there, played by Dylan. So he did a really good job there. So, and then you said you were watching The Crown. I've not watched The Crown, so
I'll tell you what.
What is The Crown?
So The Crown is about the royal family, a family I've not given a crap about over my lifetime. Actually, they're a huge failure, this family, and I have no idea the relevance of them in the world, but. And actually, The Crown, I'm like, I'm going to go into this with an open mind. Actually, it just reinforced my opinion of the family. Here's what most people don't know about. First of all, the series, excellent, very well done, great production value. It's actually gotten me to watch some documentaries on the royal family as well, and it looks like they got a lot of the source material very accurately done. The thing is, there's a lot of secrecy in the family, so they get the big points all correct, but it's how do you get from point A to point B? That's the part where there's a lot of mystery, rumors, innuendo about what's going on that they're very secretive about. So they're very accurate in all their dot to dots that they're laying out, and where there is source material for the motivations or whatever, they are including that. With that said, there are parts where they have to assume or go with popular theories because there's no facts. You just know point A happened and point B happened, but how did it get there? But I think the show does a phenomenal job. Mm-hmm. A warning: it's currently 4 seasons. It's scheduled to be 6 total seasons. They're filming. The next season, because of COVID, it got delayed and all that. So I don't think they have officially started it. But so there's 2 more seasons left. With that said, seasons 1 and 2, you fall in love with the cast. The girl Claire Foy, who's playing the Queen, she's playing the young Queen Elizabeth, does a phenomenal job. You got Matt Smith as Prince Philip, also does a great job. If you know him from Doctor Who, you can really tell his acting range because he's such a different character as Prince Philip versus Doctor Who. The issue is when season 3 comes, they recast everybody. The entire cast is different. Different actors playing the Queen. Now
I did hear that, and it sounded like because they did like a time jump.
Well, not really.
Okay.
Well, what they're doing is they're now moving her into her middle-age years is what they're doing. But from the end of season 2 to the first episode of season 1, it's a time jump of 2 years, but she looks 20 years older. But here's the problem. You fall in love with the characters as they are in the first 2 seasons. And then all of a sudden, everybody's different, and they don't acknowledge the change. They just keep telling the story. So you spend the first half of the season just figuring out, well, who's that guy? Who's that guy? Who's she? They don't they really should do a reintroduction of the character. So you as viewers okay, that is the character played by that guy last season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're just all confused, what is going on? I don't even know what's going on. And then you don't and the Queen, as the season goes on and they progress through the years and she starts, you can tell the actors are getting into their roles more. And, Prince Philip was very annoying in the first half of season 3, but you get used to the character, the way he's portraying him. And then you start, because you're in love with the Matt Smith version. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So once you get adjusted to that, season 4, you're like, oh, this is phenomenal. You're loving the characters again. Then you find out season 5 is going to be all new cast again. So season 5 and 6 is going to be a whole separate cast as they explore Queen Elizabeth in her later years, and things like that. So we'll see where that goes. But acting is phenomenal. I highly recommend it. Gillian Anderson, or Gillian, how do you say her first name?
I've always said Jillian, but
Yeah. Okay. So Gillian Anderson, famous for, the X-Files.
Yep.
She plays Margaret Thatcher in this. Oh my God. You forget it's her.
Oh, wow.
She looks completely different. That's her on the far right of the screen there.
Okay. Cause I was looking at that, wondering who was playing Margaret Thatcher there, and I couldn't tell it was Jillian.
Yeah.
Until you said that.
Like here, I'll pause it so it's not, I want to find a screen of it. Where is she here? That's her as Margaret Thatcher there.
Wow.
Like and she does such a great job changing her voice and mannerisms to be Margaret Thatcher. It's phenomenal. The acting really is top notch. So, season 4 gets into the Princess Diana years. That's pretty amazing. You find out what a douchebag Prince Charles is. He's absolutely awful. And he is nothing but a big crybaby. And you know why. I think the Queen has lived as long as she has just to make sure Charles is never king.
Well, that's what they've said for years now. She's like, I won't die. He'll be king.
Yeah.
She's hoping I have a heart attack and he'll die somewhere. And
oh, yeah. He's awful, though. And the misery Diana was in. It's also interesting, and it's a valuable lesson in life. We live in the social media age where everyone posts their happy moments, and it's easy to look at everybody's wall and be like, those people are so happy. They have it so perfect. My life is terrible. But, the whole world, I remember back then, the whole world thought Princess Diana had the dream life. Everyone wished they were her.
Well, that's when they could manipulate the media, which they still manipulate, but they can manipulate the media without any other interference of what's really going on. Nowadays, it's like they manipulate the media, but then you've got the people on the side with the social media going, "Oh no, here's this, here's that." Here, I caught this video of when they were around the corner and nobody could really see them, and and the Queen had her bent over a garbage can and she was spanking her behind.
So you find out just how miserable she was, and there's a excellent documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Diana in Her Own Words. In 1991, she did a series of secret interviews because she wanted a biography done of her, an honest biography done of her without the crown's interference. So she did a series of secret interviews for this book that got released. And it turns out it was her. Well, this whole documentary is the tapes of her talking, and you find out how miserable she was in that family. And but anyways, it's a great show. I think they do an honest treatment of this. I was expecting a bunch of propaganda about how awesome the Queen is. The reality is this: the Queen of England, the monarchy, this is why I say they're such failures. They have one real job, and that's to be the head of the Church of England. Almost like, if you would, the Catholic Church, the head is the Pope, right? Yeah. And the Queen of England is the head of the Church of England. And England's attendance rate is down to like 4% for Christianity. And that's for all Christianity, all denominations, not just the Church of England. So if the country really loved the royal family and followed the royal family as much, I think that would be better. And when's the last time you actually heard the royal family go out and really promote Christ?
Yeah, the only time they go to church is weddings and funerals.
Right. Can you imagine
holidays?
Yeah. Can you imagine like even all these mission trips they do, or these charity works and public appearances? It's always to promote the crown, never to promote Christ.
Right.
And can you imagine having a pope that never said a prayer or never talked about Jesus? I mean, it's just like, I don't know. That's their real job, is to be the voice of the church. So their government is what's called a constitutional monarchy. They make decisions for the country in their government, but then they go to the Queen, and the Queen is supposed to be the divine connector, the point to the divine, where they seek her input to see, like, is this good and moral and whatever. But they make all the decisions to protect the family. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought they actually gave it an honest treatment there, which I felt refreshing because, everyone oohs and ahs over them all the time. But really all they are is magazine fodder. That's all they are.
Well, they're all figureheads. It's all
Figureheads.
been, it's been, everything is
and they
the appearance of a monarchy.
Right.
And realistically, everything is run by their House of Lords and their prime minister.
Yeah. But as far as the queen goes and her family, they recognize how irrelevant they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so everything they do is to protect the fragile state, the illusion of how important they are. Yep. Every decision they do is based around that, which is very interesting. There's also another documentary I'm just starting called The House of Windsor on Netflix, which talks about how the royal family is just a bunch of survivalists and how they've maintained importance through the last 100 years. So that's very interesting as well. But I highly recommend it. I'm not a royal fan at all, and I found it to be very fun. I see a lot of people who are major royals, fans of the royals, loving it too, which I just wonder how they walk away still thinking that they're an awesome family. I don't understand that, because I think they really do reveal quite a bit of the dirt on this family and how they'll sell each other out just to protect the crown.
Yeah.
It's okay if your life is miserable as long as the crown is happy.
Well, and that's a lot of what it is. So
yeah. So I do wonder too, like with Prince Harry and William, like I'm very curious to know the behind the scenes with them, because there's so much out there about, like, even like that Diana, in her own words, they can watch that and hear their own mother's opinions about the family. Yeah. So I really wonder how that's all gonna play out.
It's gonna be interesting, considering that Harry has basically left his station within the royal family, and moved on to something else, and is no longer taking the paycheck that they all get.
Yeah, and I have a feeling Kate Middleton is just a miserable person.
It's very possible. Although
I mean miserable as in she's miserable. I mean miserable like Diana was miserable. I don't
know. There's the difference I see. What we see in the public on them is. Have
you seen the pictures of her? She is aging fast.
Oh yeah.
She does not. She looks 10 to 15 years older than her actual age. Yeah. She's starting to age. I think it's the stress behind the scenes.
I'm sure there's a lot of that. They try to have a normal life, and I bet that no matter what it is, they don't really have a normal life. So
you look how thin she's gotten. It's all the same path Diana was on.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. I have a feeling she's reliving Diana's life. But anyways, this isn't about the royals, so
possibly.
But watch it. It's a fun show. The costumes, the settings, I think everything's well done. John Lithgow plays Winston Churchill in the first 2 seasons. Phenomenal. Okay. Phenomenal acting by him. So anyways, check it out.
Yeah, done a lot on Winston Churchill with several movies the last few years. So a lot of good stuff out there for that too, if you want to just kind of explore his life a little more. So
yeah.
But so we get coming movies this year, as you know, with theaters pretty much open in most areas. Even though we still can't get snacks at them, maybe that'll change in the next week or so.
Hopefully.
If we can get restaurants back open here in Michigan and that, but got a lot coming up. The problem with we were talking about before last night a little bit is we got to kind of cover not just theaters, but also video on demand and Netflix and all of them streaming, because it's all gone hand in hand now. Or there's not a big divide anymore. It's become very blended, and will probably continue that way for quite a long time, if not forever. So
another interesting thing about this coming year is we might be able to just replay our show from last year. Because a lot of these movies were supposed to come out in 2020 and got pushed back. So
let's cover a couple of those real quick. Things like coming out in May. Both of us have been looking forward to seeing Black Widow.
Yeah,
that's coming out. Godzilla versus Kong was supposed to come
real
out.
quick to the Black Widow. I mentioned it briefly. This is going to be very interesting because Black Widow and Wonder Woman were going to come out. Originally, Black Widow was going to come out, I think, 3 or 4 weeks before Wonder Woman. Everything got delayed. Now Wonder Woman's out. I have a feeling. I really think this is going to be interesting because Wonder Woman should have far outshined Black Widow, but I think Black Widow is going to crush it.
When you go back and look at the trailers, just the trailer for Black Widow is better. Wonder Woman, I thought, okay, maybe they're holding stuff back. There's gonna be a big reveal. I felt no big reveals at all.
The other question I have too is the Marvel universe was unstoppable, but it's kind of there was this big pause now, and what they're reviewing is now actually a step back in the timeline. So I'm just curious, are people still hungry for the Marvel Cinematic Universe like they were, or now that they know the end game, so to speak, will that hunger be there? That's the question.
Well, I think that next week we get the first episode of WandaVision, and I think part of them, and I don't think it was intentional because they were planning these prior to COVID being known,
Right.
and these were always meant to be kind of a bridge gap between certain things, but they were going to have some movies around them too. I think it's going to help bring back some of what people want to see, because it's going to revisit the characters they love already. And then as we go forward after Black Widow and start seeing some of the newer movies, and then moving forward, then eventually introducing new characters and moving on, then it will hopefully create something that, we loved before. I've been seeing some releases about a new Avengers movie eventually, that they are going to go that route. And then, and that Brie Larson will be the head of that. Personally, I think that's just fodder for posting links, because realistically, I mean, unless we do get a new Captain Marvel movie, unless something changes in how she portrays the character, it doesn't come in. She came in flat every time she's played it, in my opinion. Didn't really enjoy her at all. But if the story's good, if she's better, actually gives a good performance, doesn't come in with the attitude that she had, I think they could continue on and go that route. But they've also made it so powerful that, and this is where I saw someone kind of speculating that the way they're going to introduce the X-Men is, and through that, and that Rogue will steal her powers, and by touching her, draining her, and all that stuff. Now that may be just more, again, speculation, which I believe it is, but I think that a lot of what they're gonna have to do is to start building back. Think about what they did back in the first Avengers, and start remembering to build that back up. Because if they're going to have all new teams, we need to have more build up, and don't fall under the well, we're already set, we'll just keep going, without giving too much backstory. We like the backstory of these characters we don't know, but we don't want to spend too much time revisiting the past. You want to get going to the future on this stuff too. But I think Black Widow is a visit of the past, is going to introduce things that will be relevant in this next phase of Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Very good. Also, here, March 5th, coming out on Amazon Prime, Coming to America too. So I forgot about that.
I'm actually excited about this. The premise just confuses me, because when at the end of the first movie, he marries the girl he wanted to, and they're supposed to live in Zamunda. Well, now he's got to come back to America to find a son he didn't know. But it's like, okay, so what? That marriage didn't work out, and she got pregnant and left. Right. Or maybe
it was the girl who was washing him in the beginning of Coming America 1, who she got a son, so he's finding that one.
Well, and that could be. I mean,
I think the real premise is Arsenio Hall needed a paycheck, so this was a charity gig that everyone is looking forward to.
I think Eddie Murphy was also looking at, like, I can make $100 million on this, and
exactly.
But I like the trailer. The trailer looked fun. To revisit all these characters again.
I didn't realize it was an Amazon Prime movie, though. I thought that was coming to theaters.
It was, and with COVID, Amazon came in and bought it. I believe they bought it for like $100 million or something like that, and then they're releasing it on Amazon Prime, because it should have already been out in the theaters and probably gonna already been online, or for streaming by now and on the video. It's one of the ones that got lost in the shuffle a little bit, so they came out and bought it. And I think part of it too, that was one of the ones that some of these the streaming studios went and started buying some of these things up, with the fear of theaters may never open up. We're going to have stuff at home. This is a great way to get people to sign up. I mean, as we know with Disney, and all of them, they're really going more on the streaming, with more people really streaming stuff. And they realize that they can actually make a lot of money doing that. They may not make this film made like 1.4 billion or whatever, but they're going to make, billions a year on the streaming. And realistically, they're having so much content that's cheap to buy. They can fit for filler stuff. And then they're also getting other financing through that. And, and cost goes up. My Netflix has gone up to $17.99 for my version.
Sure.
So,
me too.
And that, because I have the 4-screen one in that, but it's, it's things like that. But then you get other ones like right now, my Disney Plus bundle, which includes ESPN, I get that technically free because it's part of my Verizon bill. Ways around different things, and then Verizon just sent me a thing yesterday or day before. I get Discovery Plus for free, which is like all like the HGTV, Food Network, and all that for a year, and they're gonna have exclusive stuff on there. So I signed up on that. I figured for free for a year, I'll take it, and I'll just cancel it in a year from now instead of paying $6.99 a month. And then same thing with HBO because of my Uverse, I get that for free. So I probably wouldn't have bought that either because realistically, I don't watch a whole lot on it other than Titans and Doom Patrol, and most of the movies on it end up seeing everywhere else or don't care to.
Yeah.
So
let's see. Disney also has a new, maybe a new Disney princess here. They got one called Raya and the Last Dragon. So maybe this is like How to Train Your Dragon for Disney. We got Kelly Marie Tran is playing the main character as far as voice goes. So that's coming out March 5th, theatrical and Disney Plus.
Yeah, I've seen the teaser trailer for it. It looks really good. It's done under, it's not Pixar. It is Disney Animation, which is a separate part of their studios. I'm seeing it's coming right on Disney Plus, and then, but I believe the Disney Plus though is kind of like Mulan. You have to pay for it.
Okay.
It's part of their enhanced package. So this is one that I probably will try to go see in the theaters. And it's just a nice fantasy tale. Of course, it looks like it takes place over in like an Asian type country. I don't believe they actually give a specific one, but it's a realm. Here we go. It's a realm known as Lumandra. It's a reimagined Earth, so inhabited by ancient civilization. So it's not anything based on our world or anything like that. So it might be pretty good. I like the trailer a little bit. I saw a little teaser. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then March 12th, though, is a movie I am looking forward to see, The Kingsman. Have you seen the trailer for this?
That's kind of the origin story, isn't it?
Yes.
That was also supposed to come out last year.
Yeah, with Ralph Fiennes as the guy that helped start the Kingsman organization early in the 1900s. I find that it should be a very interesting way of fleshing out who they are and this organization, because they're supposed to do a third Kingsman movie
with Joel, or not? What was his name?
Taron Egerton.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
I was going to say Joel Edgerton.
Yeah,
are they related?
I don't know, but I got that, and then supposedly in March we're getting the a new Marvel movie, Morbius.
Oh, that's the Sony. That's part of the Spider-Verse for Sony.
Yeah, Jared Leto's playing Morbius.
So that's supposed to come out in March.
That's showing as March.
The trailer looked great for it. Morbius. I'm going from memory here. If I remember right, he's like a vampire in the Marvel universe.
Yes.
So hopefully, it'll be nice to see if this leads down to like a Sinister Six type of movie or something.
Well, they're supposedly filming Spider-Man now. They're looking at a release early next year, if not Christmas time, for the Spider-Man 3.
Here I have it saying fall right here. December 17th is what it's listed on mine here. And Alfred Molina is also scheduled to be in here, reprising his role as Doc Ock. So
I think we're getting the multidimensional portion. I think that's going to tie into the Doctor Strange movie and all this. They are still tying the Spider-Man movies into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even though it's Sony that's doing the production technically. But I believe that's kind of more of it's become very blended, mainly because Sony realizes that if they were to keep it separate and not to you, the dollars aren't there. They make good money, but they're making extra. I think they're making an extra couple $100 million per theatrical release on that because
it's just how to tell a story.
Yeah,
that's it. It's they get too caught up with their studio antics, like Spider-Man 3. If that was just about the Sandman alone, that would have been awesome. It was such a powerful story. But then the studio's like, but we have to shoehorn Venom into it, even though it's not really part of the story. We have to shoehorn the Green Goblin storyline in there. The Sandman storyline by itself was amazing.
Yes. And that's where they failed in Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. Was they try to do too many. They try to do the same thing Warner Brothers does with Batman, and is throw in too many villains.
Yep.
And so let's tell them a good story, because you don't need all these villains. I don't need I want to build up to like a Sinister Six movie. I don't want you just to throw it in there.
Right, like Suicide Squad. That should have been a movie where each of those characters, because they're bad guys, who are pulled together to work as a Suicide Squad to do something. They should have been the bad guys in the hero movies, where we get to know them as villains first. We see them captured, and then down the road do a Suicide Squad movie where all of those characters are now brought together and we've already experienced them in that light. Instead, they just forced everyone into one. So you're getting 20, 15-minute origin stories all crammed together, then a 10-minute story at the end. It just doesn't work.
Right. So, and then coming up in April, starting off April, they're going to release Peter Rabbit 2, which is supposed to have been out last year at Easter time. So it'll come out at Easter time this year, which is funny because they had all the high-end products and stuff like that have already been out in the stores, long gone. Same weekend, and so nobody's really going to care either way as the new Bond movie, No Time to Die. So that comes out there. But we got a new Mortal Kombat movie coming out. I had not really seen anything on, so I must have missed something on that. I'm a little surprised. I know the games still do well. So
the original Mortal Kombat movie had a great soundtrack.
Yes, great 90s soundtrack. Just try to pull from the 80s. Quiet Place Part 2 comes out in April as well.
It's called the Even Quieter Place.
Yeah. and I saw the trailer. The trailer doesn't look bad. So
my thing with those movies, my problem was they keep that. It was Quiet Place and Bird Box. They were very similar.
Yes. And I think Quiet Place, it was done independently by, was it John Krasinski?
Yeah.
He did that and starred in it. Where Bird Box, to me, it felt, Bird Box was okay. I watched it once. I'll never need to watch it again. It's based on a book, but to me, it felt like one of those things, like someone said, oh, they got this movie coming out where they're in production now of, this quiet thing. And someone goes, oh, I know of a book. And so they rushed it into production with,
at that. And then wait, there was another one that was like Quiet Place though, where everyone had to be quiet. Yeah, Bird Box. Anyways. Yeah. But they were making deaf people like the big hero in it. And the problem is this: when you actually know deaf people, they're loud because they don't hear how loud they are. So they'll make noises that they don't even know they're making noises on. And so it's like, oh, they're going to save us because they understand what it's like to be quiet, but they don't. It's the opposite. The deaf people I know, like they'll be burping out loud and everything. They didn't even know it was loud.
Right.
So it's actually the opposite issue with deaf people. They're loud. So that was my only complaint. It was written by somebody who actually hasn't been around deaf people.
I'm sure it was. Well, in May, besides Black Widow, I'm also looking forward to seeing a couple movies. One is Free Guy. I've wanted to see that one with Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I think it just looks hilarious. It was supposed to have been out like 3 times. They kept saying it's going to come out. Now they said, let's move it to May.
With these major movies, they start their advertising like 6 months early. So we're like approaching 2 years now that we've been watching these trailers. It's like, oh, I feel like I've already watched it, but it hasn't even been out yet.
Yeah. And then also Godzilla versus Kong comes out then. I like watching those movies. But then there's a movie I mentioned to you last night. It's called 5/25/77. It was filmed, at least 15 years ago. I've known about it for about 15 years almost, 14, 15 years. And I got to tell you, it's something I've been wanting to see just because it was talked about. And then also they announced the movie Fanboys, and it's, basically fans of Star Wars. And that's kind of what this is. This is a semi-autobiographical movie. 5/25/77 is. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. So I definitely recommend checking it out when it comes out. It's gonna be on video demand and buy it on Blu-ray at the same time. But it stars, let me see if I can find his name because I'm blanking right now. Patrick Reed Johnson is the writer director of it, and it's kind of based on his life growing up in the 70s, where he did all these little like 8mm remakes of movies he loved, and so he recreate was it Close Encounters of the Third Kind, things like that, just because he liked to do that. So, and he's kind of a dorky kid in the school and stuff like that. So I recommend finding the trailer. The trailer's out there online. You can definitely find that. So the other one during that time that's coming out that I really don't care anything about is Fast and Furious 9. So, but
yeah, that whole series got so weird and bizarre. How, like, it's like they just throw anything into it now.
Yeah,
like have a submarine crashing through the ice chasing a Lamborghini. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Like what? How does this even happen? I don't know.
Yeah. And then for
Yeah.
June, the only thing I'm really looking forward to, really, especially, is Ghostbusters Afterlife, because that was supposed to come out last year in June.
Yep.
So kind of want to see that. And then another one that I think is kind of funny is finally coming out in the theaters in July is the Minions Rise of Gru. They've had the toys for months on these basically these little stand-up things, and of course nobody's hardly buying them because the movie hasn't come out, and nobody's like, why they got all these Minion toys? Well, they're supposed to be in a movie that came out when those came out. But so it's funny, all these movies are going to come out that had toy tie-ins, and the toys are going to end up like at Ollie's and Big Lots because nobody bought them from the regular places.
Right.
So.
Then end of the year too. Wow, we're already approaching 11 o'clock. End of the year, another 2 movies I'm looking forward to, which I'm still speculating are going to be tied together. We have John Wick and The Matrix 4. Supposedly they're going to be separate movies, but I have a feeling there's going to be a reveal at the end of John Wick that will then bring us into The Matrix 4 is my prediction.
Well, my understanding now is that Matrix 4 is coming out in December, but John Wick's being pushed to the following May.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding of what I've been seeing some stuff on. So
maybe Matrix 4 reveal something. I don't know. Because I keep going back to the John Wick movies make 0 sense unless it's in the Matrix. Because the way John Wick acts, and like the ending of the last John Wick, he fell from like 100-story building and he walks away. What? Now Neo can do that. Neo can do that in the Matrix, but
that'd be an interesting tie-in if they show that in Matrix 4 that really John Wick was a Matrix 4 type thing or Matrix type thing.
Yeah.
So
just like he was like fighting all those people in the train station and they're all killing each other, but all the train goers are just walking past them like nothing's happening. It's like, wait a minute, how do they not see this? So it would fit in the Matrix.
Yeah.
So anyways, just a thought.
A couple more summer movies I definitely want to see coming out in July. I want to see Jungle Cruise with The Rock.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that one.
Yep, that's coming out, and I like that one. Top Gun Maverick's coming out. I'm kind of interested in that one. Yep. See what's going on there. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is coming out in July.
Marvel.
Well. Yep. So we're getting more Marvel this year, and we're getting a little quicker.
The Eternals or something like that too this year.
Yeah, I was looking for that. I thought that was coming out. Also this spring. It's like we're getting something almost every few months.
Yeah. And
some things maybe getting changed, stuff like that. I'm probably looking similar news. Firstshowing.net has a schedule and it changes quite a bit. And a couple I didn't know were coming out, like Hotel Transylvania 4 has got a new one animated. Did you ever see The Hitman's Bodyguard?
No, I did not. That's
I liked it.
Ryan Reynolds and Mace Windu.
Yes. Actually, I thought it was really good. It was funny. It was a good movie. A sequel coming out in August, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. And the wife of Samuel L. Jackson was, I blanked out. What's her name? Salma Hayek. So that's what's going to deal on that. And then Dune got moved to October. But Dune, though, is supposed to get released on streaming and not in theaters. So there's been a big uproar. The producers of that are very upset that it's not going to go to theaters. And personally, I'm thinking that's a movie that needs to be seen in theaters if they've shot it correctly, because of the scope of it and everything would be much better suited in a big screen. Now here it is. Eternals will be in November, and that's where they're showing Spider-Man 3 right on this list, but we know that's been moved to December. So there's a lot of different changes going on with a lot of these different ones. Mission Impossible 7 will be in November, supposedly. So it's going to be an interesting release as things get changed a little bit and moved around, because we know some things are going to get changed again. So
also in February, not a movie, but The Bad Batch for Star Wars will be coming out in February.
Yep.
That's related to the Clone Wars series, animated series. So that'll be coming out in February. We've got, of course, season 3 of The Mandalorian and the book of, so it sounds like the book of Boba Fett will be December, and then Mandalorian season 3 will be probably January, February after that or something. It'll be a little after.
Yeah, if they do 8 episodes of Boba, or 12 as they've been speculating, that I'm wondering if they'll do it as I'm thinking, my speculation is going to do it as parts. So you get part 1 to be 6 episodes, and part 2 to be 6 episodes, and they'll do them spaced apart just to stretch out the length of it.
Right.
And in between is when we'll get the Mandalorian season 3.
And then we also have the Cassian Andor series coming out this year. which is going to be. I really enjoyed Rogue One, so it will be interesting to see this one.
Yep.
And then Kenobi, I'm not. I can't tell if that's scheduled for this year or next year.
It starts filming this month, and I
Right.
believe it's not going to come out until next year. So
Yeah.
2022. I don't think we're going to get anything Star Wars TV show related other than the Bad Batch prior to and Cassian Andor. Well,
Yeah.
that one's still filming now. So yeah, we could see that one later this year. So
I think that one's supposed to be this year.
Yeah.
But could be wrong. But yeah, so we do have things though in the works for the Star Wars front. So we don't have to wait. We definitely don't have to wait until December of this year. I can say this year now because we are in this year. We don't have to wait till December for that. We'll have Bad Batch for sure in February. Oh, and then the Ahsoka.
Yeah, we got that. Yeah, so and all those listings, Lisa, what I'm looking at right here is showing that the only thing this year they're listing right now is Star Wars Bad Batch and Book of Boba. Andor, they're saying 2022. Kenobi, they haven't given a date yet. Same thing with the Acolyte, Rangers of the New Republic, and Ahsoka.
Yeah, those I think will definitely be the following year and into 2023 probably. Rogue Squadron and all those.
I think with once Book of Boba gets released, I think we're going to start seeing probably doing like they're doing with the Marvel this year. It's going to be almost back to back Star Wars stuff. And it's just going to continue on from there. One thing we didn't talk about, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not really excited about it, is the High Republic. The more I look into it, more I read about it, I'm not excited about this at all.
I think the High Republic is going to be. I think if you are a fan of The Last Jedi, I think you will like the High Republic.
Yeah, they're going that route with everything, and I think it's gonna be.
It's their attempt. I think this is Kathleen Kennedy attempt to create her vision of Star Wars. But I think the Filoni verse is going to win out, and I think my prediction is the High Republic is going to crash and burn.
Well, I know the Filoni verse is going to win out because Disney themselves has been rumoring, is coming up on a lot of reliable sites that their Star Wars lands in Disney World and Disneyland are going to be switching over to Mandalorian-esque, and they're going to get rid of all the post stuff. So we're not going to see Kylo Ren, we're not going to see Rey and all of them. It's going to go to Mandalorian-esque type characters walking around.
Yep, though it's winning out, and truth will prevail.
Yeah.
The Kennedy vision of Star Wars is a lie. It's a falsehood, and it's an abomination. And the proof is everywhere. You can look at the marketing, look at the toys. It's telling you where things are going. They're going to try though with High Republic. I think that's going to be Kathleen Kennedy's last gasp at her vision for Star Wars.
Well, and they're doing it as a cross multi-publication thing. So between comics, manga, novels, it's all written. I think it's just something that the more I read into it, the more it sounds like, and they keep saying there's no central character. And I'm going, okay, so what you've done is you're just going to tell all these crazy tales around some of these characters that nobody's going to eventually care about because you're not going to have a central focus.
Yeah.
Although they claim they're going to have an ending, but I'm like, no, you don't. You guys are going to.
I think they're going to. I think this will be like the new 52 for DC. I think there'll be either be an abandonment or a complete rewrite at some point in about 3 years from now.
No, I think what's going to end up happening is it's all going to come out this year, and then it'll all just end,
fade away. Like
because most of it's not most of it's novelizations, and then the comics themselves, if they're not selling, they'll just end them.
It'll go the way of the Rian Johnson trilogy. It'll go the way of Star Wars Resistance.
Because what we all want is this Mandalorian. I got my new Mandalorian toy yesterday.
Right.
That's the new one from I got it from Amazon. It's the 3.75 inch Beskar, and it goes very nicely with the one I got at Walmart where he's in his first armor.
Nice. Very nice, very nice.
So, and that's the thing. That's how you can tell what's really going on is what toys are selling and what you can't find that you want to find.
Now I do hear there's a Jar Jar Black Series available for $30 out on the shelves.
I've seen that. Someone posted that, and it was funny. This will be my last comment for today. Is they were like, I can't believe they did this. I'm done with the Black Series. I was like, first of all, it was a good figure. Jar Jar is an essential figure.
Done with the whole series, just don't buy it.
I know. I personally was like, okay, whatever. So I just shared, and I can't share it here, but it was a picture from Fanboys of Seth Rogen, and he had his picture on, and he goes, is going to be the best part of this whole movie, because the movie was set 6 months before it came out, and I was like, yeah, that's the thing. As much as people want to hate on Jar Jar, he was what he was. And
I don't like Jar Jar personally. I'm fine saying that. What people forget is, once again, Star Wars is for kids mainly, and it's not meant to be. It's a simple tale of good versus evil, black and white. We don't need all these grays of shades of gray and all this political platforms or whatever. It's a good tale of good versus evil. It's a tale of the importance of family. And it's told in a way that 10-year-olds can watch and understand. That's what it is. Jar Jar, what a lot of people don't realize is, back when episode 1 came out, Jar Jar Binks was by far the #1 selling action figure for the 3-inch figures, because kids loved them. You know, it's just, when we were kids, we accept Yoda as like the most powerful Force user ever in the original trilogy. Parents, the people our age, were like, wait a minute, a Muppet is the Jedi Master? What? But for kids, it sparked the imagination. For us, Yoda is alive to us because we were at that age when we met him. Yeah. So, well, people got to remember, you got to watch these.
See, Jar Jar was also at the just in a film. He was what R2 and 3PO were in the other movies. They were kind of the comic relief. They were the little side character. They helped move the story along in different instances, and they weren't meant to be the main focus. And as much people wanted to hate on them, it's like, realistically, you take the scenes out, and
Jar Jar was meant to be the main focus. He was supposed. I really think he was the true Phantom Menace. I remember interviews at the time where George Lucas kept saying everything hinges on Jar Jar. And I remember him pointing out how when we first met Yoda looked like a crazy hermit on Dagobah, and then he reveals himself to be this grand Jedi Master. And Jar Jar was, I really do believe the conspiracy theory that Jar Jar was meant to be the grand bad guy in the end. Pulling all the strings, and there's even Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar. When you look at the interviews with him leading up to it, he has a lot of hints in there of how important Jar Jar is going to be to the overall trilogy. But the backlash was so big at the end of episode 1, I think they scrapped all those ideas.
And I do think he was supposed to be more. I don't think he was the ultimate bad guy, but I believe he was supposed to have a little more. He's supposed to be definitely more influential and not as dumb as they made him in the second episode.
Right.
So, well, you got to get going. You've got some work calling you. So, hey, we'll join us all next week. We'll have a fun episode about some things. We'll talk about some stuff, and I don't know what, but you'll see us then. So have a good one, everybody.
Take care.